Well, hello. It's been a while since I've done one of these, either a TBR video or just filming in general. It's been a few months. It's been a pretty crazy few months, and as you may be able to tell from where I'm sitting right now, we've actually moved. We've moved into a very nice, fancy house with a couple of roommates. So it's a very nice place. We're very happy here. But it's been a little bit tumultuous, I guess, over the last few months during the move and everything. And yeah, I haven't filmed anything. Well, I've filmed little bits and pieces, but I haven't been able to put anything together and make a video out of any of it. So yeah, it's just been nothing for the last few months. But hopefully going to try to start getting it back into a bit of a routine. And what better way to start than getting straight back in with a TBR video. Winter has finished here in Brisbane very abruptly, thanks to the heat wave we have been having. I think we've had max of 38 the last few days. So it's not been nice for me. I'm a winter girl. I love winter. I love the cold. We don't get winter here in Brisbane. I'm definitely living in the wrong state. But anyway, winter has ended. So it is time to get cracking on our spring TBR. And yeah, we're going to see what comes up. I don't think I have anything new on my TBR. There aren't really any new books, at least my physical TBR. I do now have a Kobo. Got a Kobo for my birthday just a couple of weeks ago, so I can do some ebooks a little bit easier. So trying to get some of those in as well. Not that I really have any books ready to go, but I can get library books really easily on that. And yeah, just getting potentially some cheaper options available to me. But I do have a bunch of older books on my physical TBR, either rereads or books that we have owned for a while / came out quite a while ago that I just haven't read yet. So I've got quite a few on here. I do have a fancy TBR cart now, so that's fun. You can't really see it. I don't know how to do both without sitting on the ground in front of it, and that is not really going to work for me right now. But we have this. We have our little TBR prompt jar bucket. I don't remember what I did for my winter TBR. This is only the second time I've done my seasonal TBR. I think what I'm going to do is pull 8 prompts out of the bucket and then give myself 4 free picks. So that'll give me 12 books total for the entire next 3 months, which I think will be pretty manageable. I didn't finish my winter TBR. So I've got a few things to catch up on from that. But yeah, let's jump on in and see what we get. Prompt. Number 1, I've forgotten how I do this. Got to show the camera the prompt. How do I do this from my current seating position? Let's see. Yeah, I cannot read that through the camera from back here. What have we got? Ooh, this is going to require some research. A book by a neurodivergent author. Let me grab my laptop. Preferably not throw my laptop on the ground, but that's just how it's going to be, apparently. We're going to go kind of very literal with this. And I think I'm going to put How to ADHD on my TBR. It's a book by Jessica McCabe, who is the frontrunner of the YouTube channel How to ADHD. I can definitely talk. I quite enjoy her channel. I've watched a few of her things here and there over the years. And she's one of the people that I guess led me towards realizing that I actually did have ADHD myself. So I think this could be a really good book. I'm only recently diagnosed, so I'm still learning things and figuring things out. So I think this could be a good book to put on my list. Definitely by a neurodivergent author. And yeah, I've been trying to. I had a goal to read more non-fiction books this year. I've not been doing particularly well with that goal, but I think adding this one onto my list will definitely help out with that. So let me chuck that on here. Okay, put this guy back down. I'll probably need it again in a minute, but for now, it can go back down there. All right, prompt number 2. I come forward with it. Reread a book you read as a kid. Okay, I definitely have a few options for this. As I mentioned earlier, I have a few reread options on my TBR at the moment. So let me pull out a few that I have. Oh my god, there's so many down here. It's like the first 5 books down here are all rereads from when I was a kid. So I'm going to pull out these 3 and we'll have a look at what we have here. So, first one I have is David Eddings' Pawn of Prophecy. This is definitely a series I read when I was quite young. Not necessarily, maybe not kid, but like definitely teenager. Probably kid. I recently just purchased this entire series. I mean, recently, it's like 8 months ago now, probably, and I haven't reread them yet. So I'm really looking forward to rereading these at some point. So that's definitely on the list. I also here have Inkheart. I've been looking at rereading the entire Inkheart series sometime soon, hopefully. So I would really like to read these ones at some point in time. And finally, we have the second Artemis Fowl, which is the Arctic Incident. I reread the first Artemis Fowl book last TBR, last season. So I think it would make sense to do this one. And I think I will. I think I'm going to lock in the Arctic Incident by Artemis Fowl, not by Artemis Fowl, by Owen Colfer, part of the Artemis Fowl series. Yeah, I read a bunch of these when I was a kid. I definitely read the first 2 when I was quite young, and then the 3rd and 4th and 5th were only coming out while I was still a child and teenager. So I read through some of those, and there's some that I just haven't even read. And we did buy the full, I think it's an 8-book box set. We bought the 8-book box set off Amazon a little while ago as well. Again, it's kind of recently, but it's now become much less recently. But we're going to put this one on the TBR. There you go, now there's actually a book you can see on the TBR cart. Alright, I'll put that on my digital list afterwards. So let's see what we get as our 3rd prompt. This way. Gosh, that is a long prompt. The book that has been on your TBR the longest. It's difficult to say. Let me see if I have any digital TBR ones that feel like they've been on my list for ages. Because a lot of these are rereads, it doesn't feel like they've been on the list for that long. So let's just have a look at the list. Okay, so I think, now that I've thought about it, what I have to put as the response to this prompt is The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arakawa. This one has been on my physical TBR since I started doing TBR videos. So I think a lot of these other ones that are like rereads and stuff, I've just slowly pulled them off the shelf as we buy new versions of them as I go, you know what, I actually haven't read that. It's been a while. I could do with rereading that one. They've all sort of slowly made their way onto the TBR out of my library, but this one has been on the TBR since my first TBR video. So I think I'm going to put this one on the list. I believe it's a collection of little short stories about cats, which sounds super cute. My partner read it. He really thought it was very adorable and quite enjoyed it. A bit sad, apparently, I think, from memory. But yeah, I think this could be a very cute little read. So I'm going to put that one on my TBR for longest book, or books that's been on my TBR for the longest time. All right, 4th prompt. Ooh. A book with a place in the title. I feel like I make the same sound every time I pull one of these out. Ooh. Right. A book with a place in the title. Let me have a look at what I've got on the list. Okay, so I don't know how specific we're getting with a place. Like, is the final empire considered a place because it's empire? Is what the river knows? So what it's called? Something like that. Is that a place because it's river? I'm not sure. Probably depends on what I have available, but I think the one that best matches this, that I can actually currently read based on things I should probably read beforehand, I'm going to go with Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. Uh, and I think that's going to be pretty interesting. It's got varied reviews, 3.83 on Goodreads, which isn't bad, but it's also not great. But it sounds very interesting. It's a grim and gothic tale. So I think this sounds pretty interesting. I want to give it a go. We will see. I don't have super high hopes for it, but we're going to give it a go. And I think that definitely matches place because Starling House is the specific house in which the story revolves around. Let's add that to our TBR. All right, and we will move on to prompt number 5. Oh, it's a long one. I can't read these backwards from this distance. Ooh, I really like this prompt, but it's a tricky one to do. I've sort of been trying to do it over the last couple of months just to see if I can actually tell. And it's read the next book you see someone read in public. It's actually really hard to tell what books people are reading. On the bus, at least, they're either on e-reader, in which it's kind of creepy to just be leaning over and trying to see what they're reading, or they're reading a physical book and they have the physical book open and you can't see the front cover. So it's a little bit tricky, but I do have 3 months to figure it out. So we will see how we go with that. I'm not going to put any book on my TBR for it just yet because I have to wait until I see someone reading something. But I do really like that prompt. All right, we're moving straight on to prompt number 6. It's not a long one. No, looked like it was a double line, but it is not. Go this way. Ooh, a book with an animal companion. Again, I'm making the exact same noise every time. Okay, who has an animal companion? Inkheart technically has someone with an animal companion. Keep that in mind, but let me just have a look at my digital list. I don't know that I will necessarily know straight off the bat reading the names of these books, but we'll have a read. We'll see if anything sparks anything, looks like it may come with an animal companion, and we'll go from there. I'm not confident about anything on my digital list having animal companions, so we're going to go with Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. There is definitely an animal companion in this. What's his name? It's been a while since I've read it or seen it. But the cool fire dwelling dude, whose name I can't remember, has his little pet in this book. So I would consider that to be an animal companion of a moderately main character. So let's lock in Inkheart as book number 6. Yes, 2 more prompts from the bucket. And then I have to pick some books myself. I mean, have to is a strong word. I did it in this format because I wanted to be able to pick my own books. So can't complain too much. Is this one? Mm. A book set in your favorite season. Well, I just talked about how much I love winter. I thing is, I love winter in Australia. Do I actually love winter in general? Would I love being in the snow? I don't know. I've never seen snow. I've never been in snow, so I couldn't tell you how I feel about snow. But winter is my favorite Australian season. So definitely something on the cooler end. I'm not looking for a cute summer beach read. Thank you very much. Uh, let me see what I've got on the list. Ugh. It's hard to find books set in specific seasons. Let's do this. Let's go with One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Don't actually know what season it's set in, but it's definitely giving me not summer vibes. And apparently, from the quick read I've just done on Goodreads, it is a mist-locked kingdom. There's lots of mist, lots of fog, and that is definitely not cute summer vibes. So I'm going to go with One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig for this prompt, which is maybe going to be set in a cool-ish season. Don't actually know. They're going to remove the fog and it's going to turn into a beach party. I don't know. Seems very unlikely, but you never know. All right. Last prompt before I get to pick my 4 books. A fairy tale retelling. Okay. I've definitely had a few of these. I don't know if any of them have actually been fully on my list, but definitely on my mind. Definitely come across them at various points. I don't think any of my physical TBR would be fairy tale retellings. Surely not. So let's have a look at the digital TBR and then possibly also just do a little bit of research. There's one that I'm thinking of, which I don't know if it would necessarily be a fairy tale, but I reckon I could make it work. But I don't 100% know what the book is called. Sorry, my internet seems to be broken, so I had to steal my phone. But I found the book that I was thinking of, and it's called House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. And I am 95% sure it is a retelling of The 12 Dancing Princesses, which it's probably a fairy tale. I don't know how you classify a fairy tale. It was in a little picture book that I read as a kid. And it seems like it would be a fairy tale to me. So we're going to put that on our TBR for this season. It's one that I'm like, it's probably not going to be a good book, but I just really have wanted to read it because I really loved the 12 Dancing Princesses as a kid. Should probably see if I can find the 12 Dancing Princesses to read first. It's a 20-page children's picture book with 100 words, so it's not like it's going to take me long. It does not have to go on my TBR to find that book and read it, but I think it would be fun to try and find it and read it before I read House of Salt and Sorrow. Anyway, so that should be our 8 prompts. Yes, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is our 8 prompts, and now we're going to jump into my free pick books and pick 4 books. I'm pretty sure I already know what all 4 of them are going to be. So let's jump in on what we've got. We're going to start with, here it is. I'm going to start with The Lies of Loch Lamora. This book has been on my TBR for a little while. It's by Scott Lynch. It is a book that a YouTuber that I watch every now and then really loves, and every time she talks about it, I get really excited about it, and I really want to read it, and it sounds fantastic. And it's just been popping into my head a lot over the last couple of months. So I'm going to put it on my TBR for this season, and hopefully we'll get around to reading it. I don't have it physically, but it's on my digital TBR. Next up, I didn't get to this last quarter, but I do want to read it again. It's not really a quarter because I'm out of whack, but last season. So I'm going to put The Wise Man's Fear, yes, The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss back on my TBR for this month. It is an absolutely massive book, so that's quite an undertaking, but I'm going to put it on there. And the last two books that I'm going to put on there are going to be a little bit of a package deal, and I don't actually know which way around I'm going to do this. So I am going to put the first two books of the Throne of Glass series on my TBR. One of those will definitely be Throne of Glass, but I don't know whether or not I'm going to read the prequel book first or in its like third or fourth. I don't really know what order they go in, but it goes somewhere later in there. I'm pretty sure I've finished all of the ACOTAR books, right? Silver Flames. I'm pretty sure Court of Silver Flames is the last book that is currently out in the ACOTAR series. I'm going to have to double check that. If not, I'm putting the next ACOTAR book on my list as well. But hopefully that was the last one. I was pretty sure it was. I can't look it up right now because the internet's not working. But I'm pretty sure that was the last one. So we're going to move on to Throne of Glass, which I'm really excited about. I think Throne of Glass is going to be more my style of book and reading series. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. But I'm going to check with my roommate. She owns all of the books. She has offered to let me borrow them, so I have access to the books. And check with her which one she thinks I should read first, because she is a big fan of the series. And so I'm just going to go with whatever she says, because, you know, she knows what she's talking about. That's what we're going to put on our list for this month. So let's do a quick recap of all the books that we have on our TBR this month, if I can figure it out. Okay, so let's go through all the books that we have on our TBR. We have The Arctic Incident by Owen Colfer, the next book in the Artemis Fowl series. We have The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arakawa. We have Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, yes, starting another series. But hopefully finishing one by reading The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. That is our physical TBR, which is only 4 books. Probably not ideal, but that's okay. Onto our digital TBR, we have Add How to ADHD. We have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. We have The Lies of Loch Lamara by Scott Lynch. We have House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. We have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And then we have 2 books in the Throne of Glass series, whichever 2 books we end up going with. And finally, our last book is to read the next book we see someone reading in public, so I will keep my eye out for that. If by the time this video comes out, I have seen this and figured this out, I will add that into the video so you know what book I am reading, and that will go right here, if it exists. Okay, so I saw someone reading a book on the bus yesterday morning and I got pretty excited. I was trying to see what they were reading, but I couldn't quite read. You know how books have, like, on the page, they'll say the title of the page right at the top. Title of the book right at the top of the page. I was trying to read that, couldn't quite read it, couldn't quite figure out what it was. I kind of gave up on it. As she closed the book and went to put it away and get off the bus, I couldn't quite see the front cover, but I saw a little bit of the front cover, and I'm pretty sure it was a Colleen Hoover book. So I'm really glad I couldn't read the title of that one. So we ignored that one. Because I didn't see it, not because I'm getting rid of the book by just choice. Although I may have vetoed it, depending on what it was and how bad it looked. I've never read a Colleen Hoover book, but I'm not particularly interested in reading a Colleen Hoover book. Anyway, yesterday afternoon, however, I saw somebody different reading a book, and I took a super creepy, super zoomed in photo of the top of their page to try and read the name of the book. About a minute later, they then turned the book so that it was super easy to read regardless. But I took a super creepy, super zoomed in photo. It didn't include them at all, maybe a bit of their arm. It was just the book, but it felt It felt wrong. It felt creepy. I immediately deleted the photo, so no, you cannot see the photo. But the book that we're going to be reading is I Am Not Alright, Thanks by Will Anderson. Now, I'm not big on like memoirs and autobiographies, but I did have the goal to read a bunch of nonfiction books, and he is a pretty well loved comedian as far as I'm aware. I quite like him. I think he's pretty funny. And yeah, he's a comedian, so I think it could be a fun book to read, a fun memoir, autobiography. I don't know what category it falls under exactly, and I don't know how to determine that either. I still don't really know the difference. I think it could be a fun one to read, so I'm going to put that one on the list. And look, I think it probably matches a bit of my mood at the moment. I am not alright, thanks. Thanks for asking. Uh, so yeah, we're going to put that one on the TBR for spring. Moving right back on to past Kate, who didn't know what her final book was going to be. Knew I was going to fuck it up. It's I'm not fine, thanks, rather than I'm not alright, thanks. But you would have seen that on the, title card that I put here. And that is going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be doing a little recap of all the books I read throughout winter. There are a lot of them, and I need to get them off my TBR cart because they're taking up all of my TBR space as finished books. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully I'll be doing more regular videos in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!